Welcome to a moment of intriguing introspection beyond the realms of fear, hesitancy, and doubt. A deep dive into the questions of the ages shared with the courage that may challenge perception, yet teases open the expansive depth of conscious awareness. This is a rare and unique moment in our collective history. And beyond all sense of dogma, I am Master Lady Kira Ra, promising to call forward the essence of all that you are. Join me as I offer the latest self-ascension revelations with supportive wisdom. And why not remember that peace, love, and joy are your birthright? So this is the moment to bring your hand to your heart and to give yourself the gift of relaxing into a deep breath with a wondrous exhale. I look forward to joining you right now in another episode of Expanding Consciousness. Namaste, everyone, and welcome to yet another extraordinary episode, podcast, experience of this self-ascension library that is really all about expanding consciousness. Because that is the moment we are at. That is where humanity has arrived. And as I have the honor each and every week to really put forward this video library, this audio library of this incredible, important information that is for all of you that are ready to receive in the energy beyond that which seeks to limit. I welcome you for finding this moment. Whether it's your first episode, whether you've been with us for everyone, it matters not. What matters is that you're here right now. And let's take a moment before we go any further, because tonight is so extraordinary that I really want to dive into it with just this presence that it deserves. Because tonight we're looking at the quantum alchemies that are weaving right now, which is why even this podcast is possible, right? These quantum alchemies are weaving right now. And what they're doing is they're actually expanding the perennial philosophies themselves. And we're going to be diving deep into that because at the core, at the essence of it all, arrives the extraordinary blessing of owning, living, and being in the self-inquiry of what in me invited this to be. And to gaze at that through the broad lens of the allness in the transcendent knowing of the oneness. So let's just really breathe into that right now. Let's just invite ourselves to relax into this extraordinary moment. And as we do, and as you are settling in to this experience, I want to remind you first and foremost that you can send me questions. You can send them to support@selfascension.com. You can also see this if you're watching this at YouTube at Official Shri and Kira. Please know that over at amfm247.com, where this is broadcast both digitally and throughout AM and FM stations, you can leave comments with every show. And I do look at those comments over at AMFM247. So you are welcome to check it out over there as well. If you just go to the archives on the homepage, and there you'll find Expanding Consciousness. So as we are moving into this moment, as you are flowing with this moment, as you are remembering yourself, I want to invite you to just bring your hands to your heart. If it's possible, if you're driving right now, don't do that. Just feel your hands there. But bringing your hands to your heart. This is a moment where when we bring our hands to our heart, we offer reassurance to the body of form outside of the mind. We are able to, in that one moment, show our body that we are capable of commanding it into a force field of extraordinary loving presence that anchors beyond the fear, the doubt, and the hesitancy. So just really physically touching your two hands, bring your hands to your heart center, put them right there in the center of your chest, put them right over your physical heart. It matters not. But every time you do that, just that simple act, you are already awakening a deeper sense of that which you are. And then, remaining with your hands on the heart, I invite you to take in a nice deep breath through the nose, thinking on the word Ave, hail, hello, right? Breathing in Ave, exhaling Sa. And just really feeling the exhale into the infinite, into that which is unknown, not gazing at it with fear, but breathing in, hello, I am here. Breathing in, up, hello, exhaling, I am here. Because to claim, I am here, ignites the sea of neutrality of your heart for yourself. And that is another moment that heralds the call that says, yes, I am here. Thereby, I am safe to expand. I am safe to be. Thereby, and I want you to feel your hands right now, those of you that are energetically sensitive, and you can also just rub your hands together, and you might start feeling, just notice what you're feeling in this area of your hands right now. So as you're rubbing your hands together, there you are. Wow, you guys are amazing. I love how you're doing this. Woo! Notice the quantum energies. Notice your hands right now. Notice the fields that are waking up inside of them. And then bring those hands to your heart again. And you allow the head to bow, not because it's something you feel you need to do, because it's just the natural thing to do. To simply walk in the grace of thank you. Thank you. To exist in a field outside of judgment that can sustain you, where the self-inquiry begins, where what in me invited this to be begins with the celebration of this extraordinary life itself. What in me invited this to be, to have this extraordinarily textured, layered, bountiful life? And to really be with that until the joy of that can come forward, no matter where you are or what is going on around you. To remember, as in the beloved Bhagavad Gita, the good and the perception of the bad, they're the same. It's all this beautiful texture of your quantum essence, of the alchemy that you are capable of commanding, that we are reawakening into your hands right now. Because right now, you feel that again, right there in your hands, you are able to command the alchemies. And I'm going to talk a lot more about that today as well. The Tria prima is rising, and it's rising as a triple of itself. The whole mercury, sulfur, salt, our ability to weave our very existence, right? Pretty exciting stuff. So let's go way back. Let me unpack all that so that you're like, whoa, Kira, where are you going with all of this? Well, let's do it one at a time, shall we? So it all began, continued, continues in our infinite realm of potentiality. And I want to read you a quote from Aldous Huxley, just an extraordinary being. If you don't know who Aldous Huxley was, go look him up. You really want to Google him. So the Gita, this is from Aldous Huxley. The Gita is one of the clearest and most comprehensive summaries of the perennial philosophy ever to have been made. Hence its enduring value, not only for Indians, but for all mankind. The Bhagavad Gita is perhaps the most systemic spiritual statement of the perennial philosophy. Now, you might say, well, gee, Kira, you were just talking about the Gita, and this is perceived as this is perceived. Please remember that I'm a very scholar. I have basically a Gita scholar in all of my extensive years of study and research, and I have taught the Gita through its unlocking of its ascended presence. And if you'd like to learn more about the Bhagavad Gita through its ascended meaning, the meaning for now, go to shrinkare.com and look at our home study library and grab my training on the Bhagavad Gita. But this is not about the Gita, although the Gita is certainly here to help us all expand consciousness. What this is about are the perennial philosophies themselves. These are those eternal pervading truths that are always and ever present, yet unveiling more. You might want to use the word understood more as consciousness itself up levels through this frequency of potentiality, as we have the opportunity to be able to start really being in the center, in that 0 point field where we're sustaining this torus field of constant creation. The closer we can come to aligning with that, and we can do it while in this body of form, which is what I am modeling for you right now, and what you are capable of doing. So to be able to sustain that is to stay in the center of consciousness as the commander of the rest of the medicines of incarnation, 12 o'clock physical, 3 o'clock emotional, 6 o'clock mental, 9 o'clock spiritual, constantly rotating in all kinds of directions and ways until the cog of the consciousness illuminates this body of form through the Yoga of Self-Ascension, outside of all limitations and perceptions of dogma, all sense of limitation within. And so this is why going and looking at the perennial philosophies right now as the quantum alchemies are weaving, meaning we are all able to command them. I'm going to go back to that. Let's go back to that, which kind of was a kickoff, right? It was very much that moment, that when we really jumped in and said, okay, it looks like this is going to be the potentiality where we're going to be able to make this one happen, right? And so that's what kind of kicked it all off. And here we are, we're in that potentiality that made this all happen. So as we are here in this potentiality right now, in the early part of the first millennium BC. Okay, so this is just get your timeline right there. So we're back in the early part of the first millennium BC. In that moment, we saw the first origins of the Brahma Vidya, the supreme science. And forgive me for my pronunciation. Now, the reason the supreme science was termed supreme is because what was so wondrous about it was that it was so unusually unique from the other sciences of density that were studying the external world, right? Everything was studying the external world. Whereas what this was all about, what the perennial philosophies, what this supreme science, what this discovery was about was, okay, what is the process? This is the process that sought the knowledge, the absolute knowing, right? Because let's substitute knowledge for knowing, because that's the mastery sequencing is the knowing, not pursuing the knowledge, calling forward the knowing. So let's just say that. So as in this process that sought the knowing of the what is the underlining quote reality. We know this isn't real. So what is the underlying reality that's basically the program, the main program that's informing all these other subroutines, right? What is the underlying reality that would inform all other studies and activities? And so this is really extraordinary because remember, this is in this specific potentiality in the early part of the first millennium BC, we were already carrying an extraordinary consciousness, not among the all, but it was on the planet. It has been nursed. It has been here. It never left. But it's been going through its own evolutionary process, just as we have been going through our evolutionary process with it. We are the same. We are one. And we are at a moment right now where, because of everything that has been happening and all of the things, the fact that I'm still alive, the fact that you're still here, those are all affirmations that we are carrying a level of conscious awareness. And with every breath, I am leaving this library so that whenever you would connect with this, real time, a year from now, 100, whatever, if you are hearing this, if you are seeing this, then it's because your consciousness called you here. And you're ready to go beyond where you've been before. And the mind in that 6 o'clock position likes the emotion and likes its spiritualized ego and arrogance. But all it has to do is look up, open its arms, and realize everything is there to be one together. And this is why during this period, it's just so extraordinary that you had all of these incredible, clear, really clearly defined, clearly stated methods, discoveries, everything that was happening due to this study or research or investigation into the supreme science. And how extraordinary, right? So it was a tool of introspection, of course. And when we utilize tools of introspection, and especially as the seers of that time, or the Rishis as we may know them, what they were doing was they were going within. They had the integrity and the courage to not do the blame, not look at things in any way other than, and this is the ascended presence of that, of the perennial philosophies, ending up at the moment of what in me invited this to be, and then to see the broadness of what that means, the expansion of what that means. And so in their study, in their looking, in their chronic self-inquiry, it was really about where can we get to? What is absolute? You know, get me deeper, get me deeper, get me deeper. It's like meditating upon meditating upon meditating. And sometimes that becomes the addiction itself, doesn't it? So what happened was that the findings of the Rishis really got down to where it could be summarized. And it was three statements. And I started out with a quote from Huxley because Huxley was one of the ones who codified that. And basically it was Huxley who followed Spinoza. And again, you can look them up if you need to. And what they noticed, or what they then labeled as the perennial philosophy, was that it appears in every age and every civilization, every ounce, every discovery, no matter when it's found, when it's discovered, no matter when it comes forward into this moment, that quantum alchemy has been playing out, and that what they discovered were these three things. You ready? All right, because this is really where it begins, and then it moves us to the Tria prima. Number one, and you already know this, there is an infinite, changeless, quote, reality right here. They would say beneath the world of change. It's just right alongside. What they're saying here, in that there is an infinite changeless reality beneath the world of change, what that's really saying in this moment, if we were to decode that, if we were to bring the quantum alchemies into that right now, is that you are able to be in the essence of all that you are by simply letting go of the sense of limitation and remembering, recognizing, calling forward the remembrance of your infinite changelessness, the 0-point gravity field. So number one, as it was written, there is an infinite changeless reality beneath the world of change. That's Huxley Spinoza. Number two, you want number two? All right, here we go. That same reality, meaning that exact infinite beingness, that changeless infinite beingness, right? That exact same reality lies at the core of every single human personality. And I love this one, right? Because what's it saying? I am you, you are me. I am as you are. We are one. We are one. All hyphen ways. So number two, Huxley Spinoza, the same reality lies at the core of every human personality. And then it brings us to number three, drum roll please, right? The purpose of life. Who doesn't want to know the purpose of life? Well, here it is. We had this figured out in the early part of the 1st century BC, right? The purpose of life is to discover this reality experientially. Breathe that in, which means to fully realize the divine while here on earth. And this is so important. I'm going to read it just as they wrote it, right? The purpose of life is to discover this reality experientially, which is to fully realize the divine while here on earth. That is the absolute definition of the Yoga of Self-Ascension. And exactly why my beautiful husband, who was unable to physically sustain the rising frequency in his own body, chose to self-ascend out of his body of form so that my body would have the opportunity to continue what we have been working with for 22 years, to show you, to give you a physical demonstration that you can call your ascended presence into this body of form right now, with all of the capacities of multidimensional awareness simultaneously working through the perennial philosophies unpacked and expanded through the weaving of the alchemies and the internalization of the inquiry of the what, and we're breaking it down now, what in me invited this to be? Kind of like follow the bouncing ball, right? What in me invited this to be? So as you're breathing that in, what in me invited this to be? Let's unpack that a little bit before we go to the funness of what that journey gives and how that self-inquiry unfolds. And I do want to share that if you're wanting more, if you really say, okay, wait a minute, I get this, I'm ready to expand more, visit shriandkira.com and jump in to the programs that are happening right now. There's a reason you're connecting with us. Remember that at the end of the day, I'm just a humble minister. And so everything that we do is at extraordinarily, ridiculously affordable pricing because it's not about the money. It is about the donation. Everything is a Shakti exchange because of all the people we feed and the families that we support and the indigenous ones that need homes and water and all of the things we do here. And we're in need. It's more because, though, that the Ascended Masters have said, this is the moment, and I am trying to offload as much of this information as I can. We are at a moment where we're weaving the alchemies to the point where in September, right here at Toast of Blue Mountain, and please come join me at any time, but at the September equinox, for the first time ever, I am being given permission to offer these 20 people who show up the ignitions of levitation. And this isn't, I'm not saying this for anything fantastical. I'm saying this because the ability to open those portals is a very rarefied gift. It's not about demonstration. It's not about doing it for show or money. It's about understanding the essence of bilocation so that we can support more at a greater time when more need our support. We are at a moment where the Tria prima itself, and this is why I want to go back to those perennial philosophies, right? ShriandKira.com, get there. The perennial philosophies in that 1, 2, 3, through that deep dive of self-inquiry, they could have never been obtained in the search of the supreme science without the moving alchemies of the 3 primes. And these 3 prime alchemies have been moving in one way and with a lot of alchemical, I want to use the word mutation for quite a while. However, that was because in that spiral of the 5 medicines, remember 12 o'clock, think of it as a clock, 12 o'clock is the physical body, right? We come right in at 12 o'clock. That's why we always talk about humanity's 12 o'clock hour, because it's about the dissolution of the physical. It's about what's going to happen to these bodies, oh dear God. That's why it's the physical. There's so much that goes on there. And those of you in the language codes are getting this deep information. And on the 3 o'clock is our emotional body. And our emotional body is the medicine that, remember, is a fall. And please go back and watch and or listen to my broadcast about this. You want to learn about the 5 medicines. And then you have the 3 o'clock that we fall again into the mental. And the mental is like, all right, I'm at 6 o'clock. Give me all you got. If I have to take it all, if I have to control it all, if I have to do it all, I will. And that's when the mind takes over. And 99.9999999, keep going. Offer everything to the mind because it's a false sense of safety. And then the mind becomes conditioned on what makes you feel safe, but all of it is done through the fall into it. And then at some point, usually in this realm of experience, a polarity experience, you look up and you go, oh, spirituality or religion or whatever way spirituality is yours to claim. And that's a lift from the mind. And it helps bring us up. And it's when we get into that spirituality that many get stuck and they don't bring it back into the physical body again, because the ego, the spiritualized ego, really likes the fact that you've really clung to something that can control you other than the mind, but it's the same energy. And remember that the spiritual is directly across from the emotional. So the spiritual and the emotional are constantly going to be playing off each other, as are 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, the physical and the mental, until you step in the middle. And that's where the Tria Prima comes in right now. So what is the Tria Prima? Well, at the end of the day, the Tria Prima is anima spiritus corpus. That's Latin, and it's Latin for soul, spirit, and body, respectively. So remember that each one of those, this beautiful concept of the spirit, soul, and the body, all of that is radiating through the Tria Prima. And the way that the Tria Prima comes to us is through the elements, of salt, sulfur, and mercury. And we are alchemically learning how to spin each one of those independently again as they are currently expanding. And please go get one of the journeys at ShriandKira.com. I really want you to hear more about this. But they are all expanding right now into the essence of the 3 times 3. And we are in a moment of creation that is extraordinary. So remember that very, very quickly, salt is basically the body, the solid, the physical. But salt also can melt. Salt becomes, can deteriorate. So it's, salt is very much about that which is transient. And that the energy of the sulfur is meant to represent the fire, the soul, the burning blue, the beautiful blue, and the energy of that energy of really being able to look at the fire of life and be in the essence of the soul as the fire of your life, right? And then that beautiful Mercury is oftentimes some say mind, some say spirit. However, remember, Mercury flows, little drops of Mercury. Remember those old-fashioned thermometers, if you're as old as me, right? Flexible, Mercury bends, it takes on different shapes, it shifts, and it's very much a bridge. It's a bridge between this physical form and that essence, that beautiful, beautiful essence, that sulfur essence. So this is why the Tria prima carries these three elements. It's that trio. It's that energy. It's that understanding of the body, the soul, and the spirit, which is the alchemical presence and the reason that these elements are so important. Because sulfur in the elementals is fire, and Mercury is the air, right? Constantly flowing, always around you. And salt is that earth and the water, right? Think about salt water, the distillation of bringing that in. And in the Trinity, sulfur is very much the Holy Spirit, whereas Mercury is that father or that masculine energy, and the salt is like the sun energy. And you might say, well, where does the feminine come in? The weaving. And that's why this is so important. Because right now, we are weaving all of the quantum alchemies. And if you're catching this in real time or anytime, know that in 2024, in the month of June, and specifically at the June solstice, a new frequency is rising. An open gateway of consciousness is coming in, and it's calling everyone back into the sacred sequencing of their own alchemical mastery. And this is where the fields of Mercury, sulfur, and salt as the Tria prima are amplifying beyond the perspective of the limitation. And you're being reminded that everything is possible and that magic is real, that you have done this before, and that you are the commander of the ship. I invite you with all my heart and soul to check out first Sunday of every month, if you're catching this live, coming right up on June 2nd at noon Eastern time, the monthly predictions, and the ones for June are huge. Come grab it, either live or in replay at YouTube, Official Sri Kira. Please watch this again and help us. Share it with your friends. Let the world know that we are here, that we are ready, we are open, and we are guided. The perennial philosophies are expanding, and so are you. I love you. Namaste. Thank you for joining me on Expanding Consciousness. Learn more about the Yoga of Self-Ascension at SriAndKira.com, and make sure you're subscribed to YouTube, Official Sri and Kira. Remember, you are the gift. I love you and look forward to being with you again. Namaste.